Well, hello. We'd like to thank you for joining us to the New Orleans Peace Coalition. We are a group of diverse people in the city of New Orleans who have a love for our city and also want to have peace on our streets. And one of the things that I'm doing is interviewing key significant leaders in our city who are have a heart for our city, who are boots on the ground, and have a really unique and important perspective for us all to hear. And so today we're privileged to have uh, Oscar Brown as our guest today. Oscar
Good morning.
he's a director of Thrive 9 in the Ninth Ward, and he has a love for our city. He grew up in our city. And hey, Oscar, good to have you today.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me, Dean.
So tell us about Thrive 9, and also a little bit about who you are and your heart for our city.
Yeah, so my name is Oscar Brown. I grew up in the Ninth Ward in the Desired neighborhood, uh, and it's kind of like my life goal was to run a community center in that neighborhood to just empower people. And my personal goal is to see people thrive, to leave people better than what I found them.
Yeah, it's wonderful work. I got to see your place and hear about your programs, and I just love what you're doing. And it's really beautiful how your approach is so integrated into the community and not dealing with just the individuals, but you want to reach families. Tell us a little bit about how y'all stretched into that and some of the things that y'all are doing.
Yeah, I remember growing up as a youth, as a teenager, and a group of folks really investing in me personally, using their time, talents, and treasures to really empower me. Uh, and by the grace of God, I was able to become who I am today. It would have been cool if someone was pouring into my entire family. I am the oldest of three boys. And my family, one of the first ones to go to college and finish and things like that. So it's like I got a chance to grow because of the investment that people made in me. But I always look back at the missed opportunity for my family. And I always, that always replayed in my mind of, man, imagine if my entire family was invested in the way how I was invested in, and we would have families of leaders in the Ninth Ward. So that's what we do at the community center. We try to invest in families.
Yeah. So you have really a wonderful perspective of, as you know, like everybody in their city, we've just continued to have an upward tick in crime, which, years ago we had this downward momentum and now it's going back up. And so, what my heart is really to join hands with leaders like yourself and Richard and others, address the problem, but we need to know what the problem is. So that brings me to my first question from your perspective. What do you see is the root cause of crime in our city?
This is this is a generational thing. Something that was a small issue, not to be ignored, to just put a band-aid on it. What happens is the crime problem that we have here in the city, it kind of like spiraled out of control. It goes back to what I was saying earlier, adults, young adults. If you think back to the time of Katrina, that was 15 years ago, young adults was having kids, and now those kids are 15, 16, 17 years old. Well, it was a missed opportunity in investing to those adults. And now what you have is you have a new generation of 15, 16, and 17-year-olds where the adults wasn't invested in. So therefore the kids kind of like just reap the disadvantages that was missed in their adult parents. So I think that's the root of it. But if you go back to that next generation, which is kind of like where my age is, I just made 40, as generations got higher, this problem just spiraled out of control. If you think back to about maybe 3.5, 4 years ago, it started off with kids just pulling the door handles of cars. And if the car wasn't locked, the kids went into the car. If the car doors was locked, No issue. The kids just pulled on the door. It's called door lock, and they just went on to the next door. I remember meeting a kid who said that he was addicted to that, where he had to pull on a door handle just to check to see if it was open. Uh, we knew as a city that that was going on, but the way how we responded to that was, hey, just make sure your doors is locked. Eventually, what happens when that kid that's addicted to pulling on doors, when he checks every door on the block and they're all locked, because the citizens have said that this is how we combat that, then that's when those kids start breaking the windows. And that's what we have now, where you start breaking the windows. And then COVID happened, so then people stopped going anywhere. So kids didn't have a place where they can break into the windows. So now what you have is you have carjackings. So this thing just started off as real small. And I think that if we would have had a plan in place when kids was just pulling on the door handles and said, hold up, we got a problem. That has never happened before in the city of New Orleans. We've never, it's been many nights where I've left my door open accidentally, uh, just forgetting to hit the alarm or hit the lock button. But now, we raised up that, we heightened that level of saying, hey, make sure you lock your doors. We didn't address that problem when it was real small.
Accumulation of just ignoring things for a period of time allowed it to escalate to other levels, huh? And
Exactly.
so if we ignore issues aren't going away if we ignore it, and if we don't deal with them when they're smaller, then they continue to grow, and it escalates. So really, it's a wake up to our community is to say, what are the problems? We need to start addressing it because they're just not going away, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's
Well,
exactly what
let's
I'm
look
saying.
at the second question, which I think is related to that, is what problem is not being effectively addressed that contributes to crime in our city?
I mean, I think the first thing people want to do is just throw dollars at the kid. And in reality is we really need to make sure that we are investing in the parents. Personal experience with my kids, then also raising other kids and just being around kids every day. Kids do not do what they are told to do. Kids do what you show them. Okay. So if you put a kid in an environment where throughout the day, whether it be at school, then they leave school and they go home, we got to realize our kids are at home more than they're any other place. They're at home more than they're at school. They're at home more than they're at practice. They're at home the most. And because kids are sponges and they basically do whatever it is that their environment is doing, that becomes natural to them. We have to change the environments at home. And I think a lot of people want to throw tons of money at the kids. They want to say, hey, let's put more money into programs. Let's build more rec centers. The reality is if they're home, if their parents are not used to doing things like that or don't have the time to do that because there's another wage issue that has causes that also. Okay, so you have parents working 2 and 3 jobs because they can't find a fair wage job, and they can't find a fair wage job because according to different standards they don't have the skills. So that's why the work that we do at Thrive Night Ward is so important, is we're trying to give people those skills that don't have them to be able to get into a job where they don't have to work 2 and 3 jobs. They only have to work one, and it's a sufficient job where they'll be able to be home when their kids are home, so that their house can become a house that's conducive to great behavior. So that's what I think the issue is. That's what I think is the first step. The first step is we have to address the homes. We have to address the parents. We have to provide job skills, training, for the parents, not just the kids. So we have to make sure that we're investing in the parents of those kids, making sure that we're providing them with the skills they need to be able to support their kids.
Yeah, that's what I love about your work is that you're looking at things really from a systemic level. I think that was so enlightening when we came and visited your place. You will begin to offer these vocational services that you're offering the kids and the youth. You're also offering those same services to the adults who would like to up their skills, huh?
Like right now, we have a class of 30 individuals, and they're all being paid a fair wage just to learn a new skill. All right. So when they finish this 8 weeks course, they're going to be able to have the skills and things on their resume that they need to get jobs that's going to pay well over $20 an hour. But right now, even while they're in training and they're being paid $15 an hour because that's what the city says is a fair wage. They're only in training from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and that's personal. That we done that because that's the time when kids are in school. Okay, so this program is 8 weeks long. It'll be over within May. And the cool thing about that is that's when school get out at the end of May. And we don't want to be training people while kids are at home. Everything that we do, we try to do it to make sure that we are maximizing the effort that those parents will be able to provide when they get home. Some of those kids that's out 2, 3 in the morning, people say, man, where are the parents? Well, a lot of them are working overnight jobs because overnight jobs pay more than doing a day job because
Wow.
nobody want them. So if you're not home, you can't supervise your kids. We want to eradicate that.
Well, let's look at the third question. So, what can citizens do to be part of the solution to crime in our city?
It's going to take the entire city to curb this thing. All right. This is not the NOPD. This is not the mayor. This is not the district attorney. And here's the thing, from the police chief to Mayor Contrell to DA Jason, like they inherited a problem. And it's not to say that the previous administration created the problem because they also inherited a problem. This problem been inherited over and over and over and over again. So I really do believe that each one of them was doing the best job, absolute best job that they can do with the circumstances. I think this is going to be a city thing. If we want to curb this crime, we have to start looking at people differently. Okay, and what I mean by that is when we cut on the news and we see a story, and it's a couple of teenagers that carjacked a lady, right? And we immediately view teenagers different. Um, and that's just normal. It's normal for us. We see a teenager walking up the street with a hoodie on. We envision those teenagers that we seen on the TV. The problem is all of our kids are wearing that. I have a 13-year-old and a 19-year-old, and it's 100 degrees, and I guarantee you when they go out today, they're gonna both have on hoodies. That's just what it is. And I feel like I've done a great job with my kids. I'm not perfect by all means, but the village, I have a village that's around me that help with my kids, and I feel like my kids are in a great space. But the reality is they look the same. You wouldn't be able to tell them the difference from the kids that's on the news carjacking kids. We have to look at all the kids the same. We have to say, hey, there's hope. We have to look at adults and say, man, there's hope. We have to find that. And we have to pour everything that we have into it. It's going to take every family in the city of New Orleans. If we really want to see change, then the entire city has to say, you know what? I want to help. What can I do? And they may say, you know what, man, when I was young, I used to be a basketball player. You know, and there's several centers around the city of New Orleans. I'm not just talking about Thrive Ninth Ward. Just come over and say, hey, man, I used to be a basketball player. I can teach kids how to shoot free throws. It's gonna take the entire city of New Orleans to dig deep and say, you know what, I want to help eradicate this problem. It's not just a crime problem. It looks like it's just a crime problem because that's all we see on the news media. Is the crime, it's the crime, it's the crime, it's the crime. The reality is it's a financial problem. There's a trauma problem because these were the kids that were born during Katrina. These were the kids that were born maybe in Houston and got born into the trauma where their mama was just like, man, I'm in Houston. I've never been nowhere else but New Orleans, and I don't have a house, but I'm pregnant and I'm having a baby, or I have a
Wow.
1 year old. What can I like? You got to understand for the first 3, 4 years of their life, like these babies seen trauma. You know what I'm saying? And it was a
Yeah.
different level of trauma. It probably wasn't physical trauma, it was a mental trauma because the families were in a space that they wasn't comfortable in. So if the parents are not comfortable, again, the kids are sponges. They're just gonna soak it up. The kids immediately become uncomfortable. So there's so many different things that's going into it. But we all have to say, no matter what it is that we do, we're an engineer at NASA, we gotta say, you know what, I'm gonna teach somebody. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? or I'm gonna support an organization that I know that's making a change. It's not always about dollars and cents.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about your talents. And that doesn't mean that you have to be perfect, but that just means that you have to be willing to share the talents that you have.
Yeah, that's so good. I didn't really put that together that our teenagers today are really the Katrina babies, and
Yeah,
they're the ones that were really brought up in a certain level of chaos at the beginning of their lives and
yeah.
dealing with their parents. That leads us to the fourth question is how can the citizens of New Orleans help you do your job at Thrive 9?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing I would say is, man, social media has made this so cool these days where you can pretty much take a trip to an organization or to a city just from your phone or your laptop. So I would definitely say check out our Instagram page. That's at Thrive Night. So that's THRIVE 9TH. That's the Instagram. And if that's something that you say, oh man, I can get excited about that. I would love to have a personal conversation with you to see whether or not if that's something that you can personally support, or if that's something that you can come over and physically support. It may be an area where you say, man, I have this sewing gift that I feel like God has given me, and I want to just be able to bless people and teach kids on how to sew or whatever it may be. There's ways on how you can get in. So the best way to do that is follow our Instagram. Definitely, if you don't have an Instagram, I put my email. I don't know if you'll put my email
Yeah,
up
I'll
on
put
the
your email
screen.
up.
Probably the best ways. Like I love when people come over. We run camp every day. We have training every day. Folks coming over doing financial seminars, different things like that. There is a gift that everyone have. I believe God gave a gift to everybody to share. What that gift is, I can help pull it out, and I would love if I had the support of many over at Thrive Nine Board.
You all are providing practical vocational training to individuals that are hungry for that. So, what I hear you saying is that, look, you have a gift, you have a talent, you have an ability in a certain area. Say it could be finances, it could be teaching some type of practical skill. Contact Oscar, and he can arrange for you to be able to impart that gift into other people, either through a course, through mentoring, through something. Get in touch with Oscar and to be willing to participate and get involved, because it really takes, it's a one-on-one thing, it's a relational thing, it's our ability to reach out to the person next to us and to give, and that's what helps build each other up. So I really love and appreciate the work that you do, Oscar. I think, if, like I told Richard, if we had more of you in our city would be a better place to live. And so I bless the work that you're doing, and I really commend you for dedicating your life to our kids and the family of our kids, and you and others like Richard are going to be the reason why the Ninth Ward will truly thrive. So I want to invite you to watch other views of other leaders in New Orleans at the link below. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you soon. God bless.